Hello and welcome to OWIN Horn of Africa. This is Future Africa program and I am Phantom Belete hosting the program. Today I'm joined by Chairperson of United Pan-Africanist Movement, Benedicto Mbango from United States. A very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Would you introduce yourself to our viewers, please?
My name is Benedicto Mbango. I live in the United States of America. I'm the global chairperson for United Pan-Africanist Movement. My career path has been petroleum engineering, so I've been in that field for over 15 years. I'm also a business owner. I have businesses in the United States of America and also back in Africa as well. So that's what I do.
Great. Ethiopian government and the Tigray People Liberation Front have undergone peace talk in South Africa. How did you see their negotiation from the experience of other countries?
Well, I cannot actually measure Ethiopian crisis compared to other countries because every country is unique and their problems also are unique. Situations are very different as well, in the sense that Ethiopia might have similar problems as of a different country, but the people are different, reactions are different, atmosphere is different, the conditions are different. So this poses a different approach to this. But one thing I can tell you is that the ceasefire is a great step that the AU was able to achieve by coming in and stepping into this conflict and be able to discuss the ceasefire. It's a first step for peace and good resolution towards this war in Ethiopia. My recommendation, though, is that there should be a dialogue to address the current crisis, meaning going deep into the root cause of the problem, and so that we can be able to have it resolved the best way possible.
Well, how did you see their agreement or these peace talks agreement align with African solutions for African problems?
The one thing I can tell you is that the AU has been able to do the first thing that I've requested. Last year I was on the same TV, the OBN last year, and I did requested AU to step in so that they can be able to look for solutions to the problems we are having in Ethiopia. Mm-hmm. And one thing I can tell you is that I'm proud to see that AU was able to put themselves together and form a team to be able to resolve this problem. Mm-hmm. But again, there are always room for improvement. So we're looking at issues not just only in Ethiopia, but also in Nigeria, Congo, Cameroon. There are a lot of issues that are facing the African people. So when it comes to the situation in Ethiopia, it is very critical that we look for long-lasting solutions, and that solution has to come in when we have the right people on board, sit on the table and dialogue, so that we can be able to have peace across the continent.
Peace is not an option for every country for the sake of its citizens, but Tigrayans in the diaspora are taking to the street to protest the peace agreement that their leader TPLF signed. What do you advise the people of Tigray who practically experienced the pain of war?
Well, it is very simple. I mean, if people are in the diaspora and protesting against conflicts resolutions or a peace agreement that the people of Ethiopia are trying to do, like between the government and of course the TPLF are signing, and they are protesting, then it's very simple. Tell them to come home. They can come home and face their reality on the ground. We cannot have people in the diaspora, sit in the diaspora with their families being safe and secure, and then protesting, or dictate what happened on the ground. I know there are good people in the diaspora because, again, the diaspora has been able to support a lot of good things happening in the continent, including in Ethiopia. But we have to understand that we have to always seek peace in everything that we do. We don't want to be able to bait on the life of our brothers and sisters that are in the continents. If anybody is not happy with the peace talk and of course the ceasefire, I mean, they can come home and also face the suffering that people are suffering from gunshots every single day, and of course death and displacement. We don't want that to happen to our people. We don't want our people get killed. We don't want them to starve, and we don't also want them to be displaced. So in every solutions, in every situation, is that we have to seek peace, whatever, regardless of what happens. So I think it is very important to the people of Tigray, including the TPLF. They have to be able to work together. The peace is very important. We do not want to see people dying in the debate of personal greed or other needs as well. So again, those diaspora that are protesting, I think it is very simple. They should come home. They should come home and witness what is going on the ground. They should come home and also participate in see what's going on the ground. We cannot be in the diaspora and dictate what's going to happen in the continent of Africa because we are not on the ground. We are here in the diaspora with our families, being safe out here. Why people are all dying from gunshots and hunger and also death and displacement. So but it is very critical for us to support the peace process. It is very important for us to be able to give our own support to make sure that there is peace and people can live in harmony in Ethiopia. The war in Ethiopia has to stop, and this has to go. It just has to go on both ways. The people of Tigray, the diaspora, as well. We all have to support the peace process, the ceasefire, and of course come to the roundtable to dialogue and to seek solution to our problems.
As it is a great decision for the two bodies to choose peace over war, what should both the Ethiopian government and TPLF need to understand about the Westerners' interference from the experience in the war?
That's a great question. Thanks so much for that question. The Western interference is a bad business for Ethiopia and the rest of Africa. We all know that very well. Every country has its own problem, but they should be able to manage it without the interference of the Western world. If those countries need help, only those who share the same value should come in for help. In this case of Ethiopia, the AU and other African countries who also share good faith can come in to help. We don't need the interference of the Western world. The West never has African best interest, so they're not coming to help us. They don't have our own interests. They don't like us. So everything they do around the world is for their own survival. They always want to make us feel like they are the angels and savior, and we are the devil. But we can all see, learn from experience that they are the devil and we are just the victims. So let's take a look at things that goes around the world. Let's look at Iraq, look at Afghanistan, look at Syria, Iran. Let's not even go far. Let's come back home to Africa. Let's look at Congo, look at Libya, look at Somalia. Pretty much these countries are still struggling with instability and of course internal conflicts just because of the interference of the West. So there is no need for us to be able to allow them to interfere with African affairs.
Westerners, as they have been working to destroy Ethiopia, have tried to take the participant role in South Africa in the peace process, rather than the status of observer they had been given. What do you think it is implication on one's sovereignty?
I think this summit was held in Kenya, but I think, of course, there's always implications when you involve them into the country. So whenever you involve the Westerners into the affairs of the country, it's bad. I mean, they want to be able to come in and, of course, and be able to be like they're the good guys, whereas their intentions has never been good. They will do anything, they will do anything to be able to benefit, because there's nothing that they do without great benefits. So you see, Europe is not richer than Africa, same as America is not richer than Africa. So the things, whatever they're looking for, especially to become, to participate in this peaceful discussion, is for their own best interest. Again, it is not the interest of Ethiopian people or the African people. It is not. They are not here to support the Ethiopian government or to support the TPLF. So but they are here for their own. Their main benefits here is to have control over the government, so that they can have access to natural resources and also their economy. This is what they do. They come in that they want to be peacemaker, at the same time be able to have influence to tell people what to do and to boss them around. Again, it's just the issue of undermining state sovereignty and to take over, using power and other diplomatic ways to get involved in various countries' affairs. So we should not let that happen, because there's great implications on that.
What should this TPLF and Ethiopian government do together to counter such anti-peace pressure from Ethiopia?
One thing is clear, based on history, the Westerners, they do not like the fact that Ethiopia was never colonized. They don't like it. And, Ethiopia has always fought for their sovereignty. This is very, very important for the Ethiopian people. And this really bothered them. It bothered the West to see that Ethiopia was never colonized, and they are not going to give up to have control over Ethiopia. On the other hand, the TPLF and Ethiopian government should know that they are brothers and sisters. And brothers and sisters do fight, but they must manage their own problem. They must fix their own problem before the real devil comes in and make things worse. The unity of the people always builds strength. But when they divide, they fail. You see, Europe is strong because of the EU. America is strong because of the United States. So that means that the TPLF and the Ethiopian government has to work hand in hand to fix the problems that that the people of the Tigray are facing. So it is very, very critical. So both parties, which means the TPLF and the Ethiopian government, should concentrate on Ethiopian development, make policies that will help support entrepreneurs, small businesses, expand the agricultural sector so that they can fight or eradicate unemployment and hunger. There is nothing as peaceful as being in your own home. Go to sleep, wake up, eat, in a very peaceful environment. So both parties, again, the TPLF and the Ethiopian government, has to stop the conflicts. They have to bring those that have fled from their homes and they are somewhere else, maybe in different countries around Ethiopia as well, bring them home, bring them back home, and also provide them resources to recover from the damages and trauma of war. We have to understand that war doesn't benefit the African people. Whenever we have wars or conflicts in Africa, it doesn't benefit us. So each time there is war, the West are the ones that benefit from it, whether they're involved directly or indirectly. For example, the guns and also weapons that they used to fight this war are not manufactured in Africa. They are all manufactured in the West. So whenever we buy guns, whenever we buy war equipments, we are just taking our own money that's supposed to be used for our own development, to develop our country, to provide a better life for us, or to give it back to the West. So you see, all the money that we spend to buy this equipment, these guns, and all these things goes back to the West. So why our people suffers the consequences? So you see, that's why the West does not like that war should stop. They encourage war to continue so that they can keep selling weapons and keep destroying other people so that they can make money and stay in power. Let us evaluate the lives of the Tigrans or the Ethiopian people. Let us see what was the cost of life of the Ethiopian people, especially those who died from gunshots. Look at lives lost in this war. It therefore means that we are just trading the lives of our brothers and sisters to the guns and weapons manufacturers. It doesn't worth it. It doesn't worth us killing our own people and using the same weapons given to us by the West to kill and destroy our own lands. So this has to really stop. We have to come together as brothers and sisters and talk and see how we can be able to collaborate, integrate, or of course, work together to better off our country, especially the country of Ethiopia. The continent look up to Ethiopia for many things, and we have to make sure we maintain our integrity as Ethiopian people, and of course, be able to support the rest of the African continent.
Well, what do you think should all Africans and Ethiopians at home and in the diaspora do to abort this evil media intervention?
You know, that's a good question because I can tell you that Africans are the highest consumers of the Western product, including the media. But we can change that. We can change that by integrating and partnering with all African media houses and institutions. But we must do the groundwork. That means if you look at our African media like reporters, don't like to go to the ground, don't like to go to villages and of course war and conflict zones. They don't like to cover areas that are affected by natural disasters. They don't like to investigate. They don't like to mediate. All what we like to do is just come with big coat and tie and sit in the back of the camera and report, what is given on our desk. We don't like to go out in the field to do the work. But if we look at the other hand, BBC, CNN, French 24, and many other international media that are in the continents are doing all this groundwork for us. So that they are now, giving our audience they're now feeding our audience in Africa. So we must do all of this work ourselves. We must make ourselves relevant to our communities. So, and also our communities and our viewers. So if we must kick the international media out of Africa, we have to integrate and also be willing to do the groundwork. So meaning that we have to go to these villages, meet people. Wherever there are conflicts, wherever natural disaster, we have to intervene. We have to mediate where we need to. We have to investigate issues while we report facts. Now, on the other hand, the United Pan-Africanist Movement has, come up with a media house called the WNN, which means the Wakanda News Network. We will be leading the integration system, so the integration process. So, which means we'll be contacting you, the OBN, and other media in the continent, so that we can be able to partner and start working together, so that we can be able to regain our communities, the African communities, because we have to reach out to our own people. We must use the media to disseminate the right information to our people, because it is our responsibility as African people to protect our people and also our natural resources. But we have to do the work. We have to be ready to do the work ourselves to make sure that we can disseminate the right information out there. And this will discredit the international media, and that moment we can kick them out of the continent.
Great. What do you suggest global communities, African people and Ethiopian people, including people of Tigray, do to ensure lasting peace in the country?
Unity. Unity is a key. So whether you live in the Tigray region or you are the other part of Ethiopia, our unity as Ethiopian first is very, very important. The people of Ethiopia has to unite for economic transformation, and we have to be, we have to be the one to secure or to ensure that there is peace, security, and stability in Ethiopia. So I want to say that the people of Ethiopia, it is a time for us to come together to unite as one people, as Ethiopians first, and as Africans second, and ensure that there is peace, security, and stability. We have to urge our governments to set policies and strategy that will prevent internal conflicts, and wars in Ethiopia and also the rest of Africa. It's our duty as a people to make sure that the government, set these policies to avoid all of these internal conflicts.
Well, Benedicto, have you got any message to convey to our audience before we wind up this session?
Yes, of course. I do have quite a few, and my message to the people of Ethiopia is that despite the fact that we come from different villages, we speak different dialects or languages, we also from different ethnicity, we also practice different religion, but we are all one people. The great nation of Ethiopia has been an example to Africa. That's why I call Ethiopia the mother of Africa. We must learn how to live in solidarity with one another. We should use our diversity to our own advantage, not disadvantage. Same to the entire Africa. We are at war with ourselves, not even with the West. We are at war with ourselves, and that is giving the advantage to the West to keep exploiting us. They don't care about us. In fact, in the past, only Europe was interested in Africa, but now we have America, we have China. This means there's something great in Africa that we don't see that they see. And they have been there for decades, for hundreds of years now. And more are coming. So we have a bigger problem. We have bigger threat in the continent right now. So protecting our homeland is very important, beginning from Ethiopia. We have to protect Ethiopia, and we have to protect every single other nations in Africa. If we are not careful, we will be enslaved again. And at this time, the worst thing is going to be in our own land. Let us see the case of American Indians. We know the native Indians in America that were, if we look at history, the European came to America and fought, killed, and of course, the remains of the Native Americans are living in reservations, and also pretty much they have no say in this land. You won't see them on TV, you won't see them anywhere because they're all living in camps. Today we have 13 police stations in China, 13 Chinese police stations in South Africa. We have Chinese becoming chiefs by buying and owning our lands in Africa. This is ridiculous. It is. I don't know what we are thinking to allow, Chinese having police stations in our continent. I don't know what we're thinking, and there are many more, happening in the various countries. If we are not careful, this is exactly what happened in the past. 400 years ago, we let white explorers came to Africa. We welcome them, and we provide to them, we give them access, and before we know it, we're taken to America and other part of the world as slaves. And after that, we were colonized. Today, we still suffer from that. The consequences we still suffer from colonization and slavery. So we have a bigger problem. So the fighting in Ethiopia has to stop. We have to stop it by our necessary. There has to be peace in Ethiopia. So the United Pan-Africanist Movement is, we are working with relevant stakeholders to build our African dream, a brand new Africa. And and I will always say that each time an African country is facing some kind of crisis or internal conflicts, it should be the concern and the problem to the rest of the African countries. They must react and to ensure peace and security in this continent of Africa. So what are these various things that we can do at the moment? We must have an African emergency response team that can always come in whenever there is internal conflicts, natural disasters, or pandemic. So we don't have to have the UN coming in there to do anything for us. We are 1.4 billion people. So we have the capacity to be able to train medical staff, train rescuers, and all these things to be able to, respond to emergency situations that we have around the continent. Something that we must do. And we are working to make sure that this emergency team is being set so that we can be able to help our various African countries that are suffering from other, pandemic, natural disasters, or internal conflicts. We have to integrate our school system to ensure consistency in education and also have valuable, educational programs that will help to boost or to bring our people out of the current situation, but to advance in job markets and, of course, the technological world. We have to integrate religions, traditional leaders, and religion traditions, and the rest of other African communities. This will also help to maintain peace and stability in the continent. So we have to also expand businesses and partnership across Africa and leverage the African market as it is the biggest consumer in the world. So we have to be able to leverage the opportunity to the African market to produce, manufacture, and also sell our own production within the continent. So we have to be self-sufficient. Every country in Africa has to work hand in hand with the rest of the African continent to make sure that we are self-sufficient. We don't have to import anything from any part of the world. We have to keep our money within Africa. We have to grow our own goods. We have to manufacture our own product so that we can create jobs and, of course, create opportunities for young Africans who want to travel to Europe and also to America and all other places in the world. But we have to start by having proper educational system. We are also working to make sure that all of these recommendations items that I'm talking about here, that we want to take the responsibility, because somebody has to be responsible to make sure that everything that we want to recommend to have a brand new Africa is being established in the continent of Africa. So I am calling on the support of all Africans, head of states, politicians, businessmen and women, religious and traditional leaders, government and non-governmental institutions, Africans in the diaspora, and our brothers and sisters in the continents, ladies and gentlemen, to join us, to join the people of Ethiopia, to join every single one who is fighting to build the brand new Africa, so that we all together can create that Africa, because at the end of the day, we are the one responsible to transform, build, and protect our beloved continents. So let us not sit back and let history repeat itself again. When I talk about history repeat itself again in front of our eyes, I'm talking about recolonization, slavery, and all these things, because it will happen if we sit back and we don't do anything. We can see that happening right now. So most of these things that I mentioned right now, we'll be talking about it more as we come to the conference. So it will be more implementation. We are planning for a conference in Ethiopia with a pre-launch from February 27th through March 4th. And some of these pre-launch also going to be planning to make sure that the implementation of the recommendations that I just mentioned are all implemented as well. So again, we're seeking support of Ethiopian people to make sure that this become realistic. So we have to make sure that everything that we're doing for Ethiopia, and of course for the continent of Africa, benefits Africans' descendants around the world. And and it's our responsibility as well to take up to make sure that we become successful as African people. Thank you very much.
Global Chairman of United Pan-Africanist Movement, Benedicto Mbango, thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. Always been here.
Dear our viewers, this is all we have for today. Thank you for watching.